Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I'm going to be going over my November wrap up. I'm basically just going to go over some of my stats and my top 5 reads. I can't believe it's already the end of November here. We're in December. We're in our last month for the year. So let's go ahead and quickly go into my wrap up. Okay, guys, so November was a pretty good month for me. I had a great time. We did the fanfic readathon that Jen from the Book Refuge does. So I had quite a few fanfics that I read, which is great. I think I want to kind of try and make a goal for myself in the next year to try and read like a fanfic a month, or, try to read more throughout the year, because I really did have a good time discovering new fanfics and stuff. So anyways, that was fantastic. And, I had some pretty good reads. So let's go ahead and go over my stats. Before I do that real quickly, I do want to mention that I don't go over all the books that I read in my wrap up because I talk too much. And I used to do mid-month and end of the month wrap ups, and even those were super long. So I just basically changed it to do weekly wrap up so that it wouldn't be super long videos. And even those, I still ramble. So anyways, if you want to check out all the books that I've read where I review every book, make sure you check out my weekly wrap-up playlist. I'll try to put the cards up above. So anyways, for November, I read 31 books, which is pretty good. For my ratings, I had 1 6-star, 9 5 stars, 3 4.5 stars, 11 4 stars, 5 3.5 stars, 1 3-star, and 1 2.5 star. So kind of wide across the board. I'm pretty generous with my 5 stars. That's why I did want to start doing the 6-star rating, because I just want to give that extra oomph to like the books that like I love. So luckily I did have 1 6-star for this month. So that was fantastic. So the type of books that I read was, I did read 7 fanfics for the readathon, which was great because I read some longer ones too this time around, which was fantastic. I had 11 ARCs and ALCs. Now some of these are doubled up because I count like the e-ARCs, as my ARC ebooks, and then like my ALCs as my audiobooks. But anyways, I listened to 12 audiobooks, read 3 paperbacks, and then 9 ebooks. The genres that I read 8 fantasy, 8 contemporary, 4 dark romance, 2 romance, 2 mafia, 5 historicals, which is good because I haven't been reading enough historicals lately, and then 2 sports romance. The page count I had was pretty good this month. I had 12,535 pages read. A lot of that probably was from the fanfics because I did have longer fanfics that I was reading. So I definitely had a really good month. I had some great reads. So let's go ahead and get started with my top reads. So what I want to start off with is my 6-star read, and that is Never Duke Well. This is by Alexandra Vasti. This is the first time I've read this author, and I was just so impressed with this because it is such a cute, sexy, spicy historical romance, which I'm not used to seeing a lot of those lately. So in this, we have Peter Kent, and he's basically inherited a dukedom. He's become the Duke of Stanhope. And he actually grew up in America, but he basically, like the other sibling that was the heir, the future Duke died. So basically he is the Duke. He's basically moved to London, and he is trying to become the guardian of his 2 half siblings. And so he really has to like go to court and go through all these proceedings to be able to become the guardian. But he has some scandals. He's American. He's kind of brash. He, gets involved in things maybe he shouldn't. And the guy that's going to be deciding his case is pretty strict about that kind of stuff. So he kind of is like in the same circles as Selena, and she is a very you know, really wonderful heroine. Like, I really loved her. She's so friendly. She tries to help everybody with their problems. But he kind of goes to her for help, and she basically says, we need to matchmake you. We need to set you up to have a whirlwind like romance and then engagement and marry someone, because the guy that is going to judge him is basically kind of had this whirlwind romance. He got engaged really quickly, and so she's thinking that might endear him to this guy. So she's basically doing matchmaking. The matchmaking isn't going great, and she's kind of involved in a lot of these outings, and really her and Peter have the connection. They have great banter, great chemistry, but she doesn't think she should be an option for him. And that is because she has a big secret. And she has this secret erotic library that she owns, basically, is in charge of. And it kind of gives these books to women that wouldn't really have access to that kind of stuff. She wants to make women knowledgeable about sex and mistresses and the way society is and all that kind of stuff. So if it comes out that she is the one in charge of this, it could really hurt his chances of becoming a guardian. But unfortunately, they just have an attraction. They have so much chemistry, and so they do get caught in kind of a compromising position. So they are going to kind of have to get married, and she's just freaking out and so concerned about her secret coming out and ruining his chances. So I just love this. It is very spicy, great chemistry, great banter, super romantic. I got emotional. I loved it. Like his building relationship with the children, her relationship with the kids. I just really, really love this. And I love that there wasn't like the third act breakup that I was like kind of expecting, and that they had such amazing communication. Just blew me away. So I just really wanted to highlight this because I think that we're not paying enough attention to historical romance anymore. And it is kind of hard to find new to me historical romance authors that like are killing it. So I've never read this author before, but I'm definitely planning on checking out some of their other work because I loved this. I don't know if this was their debut or not, but this was fantastic. So I really recommend this. This was my 6-star read. I think I gave it 3 chilies because it was very spicy and I just adored it. Okay, the other one that I want to bring up was just so special to me, and this was a fanfic, and this was The Potion Master's Baby by Snape's Goddess, and I just love Snape. He's like, I love him. I cry every time in the last movie when we see everything that Snape went through and what he's really done for Harry, but anyways, I just love Snape. And this one was really adorable because this is Snape and Hermione, and they are actually both teachers at Hogwarts. They're not like really in each other's circles or interested in each other that way, but Hermione actually, has been single for a long time. She's having a hard time meeting somebody because Ron had actually gotten like an accident, and so he passed away right before they were like going to get married. And so she's basically older and like kind of like wants a baby. So she decides to kind of do their own kind of, their way of doing it in the magic system of donating, sperm or whatever. But there's like a mix up with the sample because she ends up getting Snape's. And so when that is revealed, Snape is like furious because he didn't want kids. He didn't think he'd be a good dad. And she's like, I don't care. Like, you don't have to have anything to do with this, but I'm not getting rid of this baby. Like, I want this baby. And so once he knows about it, though, like he can't stop thinking about it and he really wants to be there for her. And so they build this friendship and he wants to support her and be there for her through the process. And in that, they discover that they really have great like chemistry, and Hermione starts to get a little bit horny later in the months, and so they decide to kind of like actually make a go of it and date, and it's just adorable. Like, this one was just very sweet. It gave me like all the ooey gooey like happy vibes. Like, I just adored it, and like Snape was kind of hot in this, and it was spicy but like sweet, so I had a really great time with that one. Okay, so then another fanfic that I want to bring up was Winter Came with Fire and Blood by Elizablue. Just warning, this one is not spicy. I didn't realize this was not explicit. I didn't even look at that when I got this one. It's basically for teen and up, I think. So there's like really like, it's closed door sex scenes, but I still freaking loved it. This is a Game of Thrones. It's a Daenerys and Jon. And basically you could tell this fanfic author, she was upset with the way the show ended. Like me, I've ranted about it many times and I'm still angry about it. Which is funny because I'm actually wearing my Westeros t-shirt, which is like a map of Game of Thrones. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, sorry. So anyways, she basically did this where it's after the Night King is defeated, she changed basically all the events so that you don't have the crazy event that everybody hated of Daenerys, what she does at the end of Game of Thrones. I don't want to spoil that for you if you haven't seen it yet. I don't know if, I know some people haven't seen Game of Thrones, but, so I don't want to spoil that for you, but, it pissed me off. So in this, we have Jon and Dany, and they are in King's Landing. They've taken over King's Landing. She is now on the Iron Throne, but there's been some complications, obviously, with that. Obviously, we know the reveals of who Jon really is. See, I can't really say these things if you haven't seen the show, but we know who Jon really is to her and her family, and so that leads to complications. But we work through those and they get married. But so basically this is them married, but there's another big bad, and she kind of changed it around where like the Night King was the big bad. You know, then we had like Cersei. Now it's Bran. She made Bran, who's the three-eyed raven, actually kind of like evil like the Night King. And he has like wants Daenerys dead. And also because Daenerys is pregnant with Jon's baby. And this baby might actually be the prince that was promised. And so this baby is going to be very important. So it's basically like a lot of stuff going on with him trying to come after them. He goes into mines and makes people crazy. He can get into animals, and like they're worried about him getting into Drogon's mine, her dragon. So it's just, there's a lot to this. I'm really breezing over it. I did have a fanfic readathon vlog. So if you are interested in more details, I definitely go way more into detail on this. So check that out. I'll put it in the cards here. But I love this. I ended up getting like really emotional and like crying near the end. There's a trigger warning because she has a very difficult and gruesome like childbirth. So just be aware of that. It's very heavy, and that's like when I was crying. So just be aware of that. But I thought it was so well done. It was just very what we really wanted. I mean, not everything is what I would want, but a lot of what I wanted with Dany and Jon happens in this, and it was just beautiful. So I loved this fanfic, and I really want to look for some more Jon and Daenerys ones because it was really, really good. Okay, so then I finally read God of Ruin by Rina. Vlog is coming soon with this one too. But this is Landon's romance, and Landon is the one I was really nervous for because he's like the master manipulator. He's kind of psychopath, you know, behaviors. You know, he's kind of been the villain. He's fucked up with everybody in the previous 3 books. So I didn't know how I was going to feel about Landon, but I really loved him in this. And I thought it was interesting being in Landon's head. I mean, he's not a good guy. He does some shady shit. But I thought it was better knowing in like he was diagnosed as antisocial behavior narcissist, you know, so like there's no changing that. Like that's who he is. But he does work on certain things for Mia, who he ends up falling for. So Mia is really an amazing heroine. She's feisty. She is Nikolai's sister. She also has a twin sister that I didn't really like that much, but I liked her through most of this book until certain things are revealed. But Nikolai is one of my favorite characters. I can't wait till Nikolai and Brandon's book. So, but she's Nikolai's sister, and she wants revenge against Landon because Landon has like kidnapped and fucked with Nikolai in the past. You know, he's pretty much responsible for all the chaos that happens. He's kind of an anarchist behavior. So she ends up sneaking into his mansion at this like masked party with her twin, and they have it set up to do kind of like a Carrie moment where the blood's gonna fall all over him in front of everybody. He had caught her ahead of time, but she ends up getting away. She has a mask on, so she thought she was okay, but he knew it was her. Also, she has befriended his twin, Brandon. So she's like gaming with him one night, and she kind of freaks out when she's leaving the house because it's dark, and she's scared of the dark and has trauma from her past. That's why she is actually a selective mute. So she hasn't spoken, I think, since she was like 8. And so that's something, you know, her family just really wants her to work on, but they love her and support her. You know, her family is in the Bratva, so but he basically comes out of the woods when she like is kind of scared at night, and it makes her totally freeze up. And that like really gets him into her for some reason, because he is actually an artist. He does sculptures, and he's very genius. But that like really, for some reason, that like just entrances him, and she becomes his muse. So he kind of gets obsessed with her and makes her kind of be his muse, come to his like abandoned house where he does his sculptures at. And they basically have this crazy chemistry, and they like play chess together, which I really loved. And he like makes her like, they bet if he wins chess, which he always does, you know, like he wants to discover her kinks. She was a virgin, which he didn't know, but he very much likes once he figures that out. But they have such amazing chemistry. They do so much, like they have primal play, there's somnophilia, there's, you know, butt stuff going on. Like there's a lot. So I really loved it because Mia gives as good as he gets, you know, so he gives it to her. She's feisty. She fights back. They're great together. I love being in Landon's head. There's stuff going on from her past that'll come into play at the end of the book, which is usual crazy Rina Kent third act stuff. But what I really loved about this was Landon and Mia, and somebody that she thinks like he can't be possible to love with who he is. But he does love her. But I love his crazy psychopath behaviors and how he is a charismatic guy, because psychopaths have a lot of charisma. And so like him meeting her like father is hilarious too. I love seeing parents in this. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I really loved it. It's super spicy and a great time. Okay, so the other one that I want to bring up is a fanfic, and that is Isolation. So this is by Bexchan. I actually listened to this on Spotify. They do have the audio available. I couldn't even think of what it's called. Anyways, they have the podfic, sorry. They have that available on Spotify too, so definitely check that out. I enjoyed it. And this one was interesting because it was like Hermione's at Hogwarts, and this is kind of at the time when Ron and they went to go get Horcruxes. It's basically Ron and Harry went to go find the Horcruxes, and she's staying back at the school. And this is kind of after, you know, Draco had killed Dumbledore, and so he's not in a good place with Voldemort right now. So Snape had done that unbreakable vow with him, so like he needs to make sure that Draco is safe. So he basically goes to Minerva, and he asks her, Professor McGonagall, he asks her to like kind of keep him at Hogwarts in a safe place. So the only place that she could really do it is in Hermione's like head girl room. So they're going to end up sharing this space together. And so they end up kind of in this forced proximity. It starts out really, you know, enemies for sure, because Draco has been raised to believe like the mudblood thing, and he's very like, you know, looks down on her and is just very, you know, raised in a really hateful kind of way, like a racist or that kind of behavior. And so she slowly like is like making him acknowledge how stupid those thoughts are by having him read certain things. She has him read about like Martin Luther King and just different things. And so he's starting to get really like to know Hermione and see that everything that he thought he knew was wrong. And him and Hermione really have this crazy attraction. So they start to like really get into each other at the school and like fall for each other. But then things like right when they're starting to like get together, things start to kind of like fall apart with Voldemort. They're like attacking the school. So she had to get Draco out of there. So they kind of send him to another safe house type of thing. And they get split up for a little bit. But then they kind of like come back together and they end up kind of like fighting together against Voldemort. And you have kind of like the same kind of big battle at the end of Hogwarts, but it's like different stuff going on. So I really love this. It was a great Draco and Hermione. I loved the, chemistry and banter and everything. I really loved Theo in this. He was like a standout to me. So I had such a great time with this. So, I had like 3 fanfics in my top 5. So, that tells you I had a really great time with the fanfic readathon. So I did have another book I was going to bring up, but I'm going to stick with the fanfics for now. So those basically are my top 5. I was going to go over my worst book, but I just don't want to be negative. I just don't feel like doing it. It's on my last week's wrap up. You'll see me go off about it, but I'm not going to be negative in this one. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you had a great holiday. I hope you are looking forward to December. We are doing the Romantasy Readathon that Crystal's putting on. So I'm trying to get these arcs read. I need to get started on fantasy. So I hope you guys are joining us for December. All right. Thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment, like the video, and I will see you guys on the next one.